Hi, it's me again, and this time I'm in Belém for the UN Climate Change Conference COP30. Some people call this one the adaptation COP. As I explore this massive venue, let me walk you through the 3 key adaptation agenda items we are tracking this year. The number one thing on everyone's mind is adaptation finance. The latest adaptation gap report says developing countries are facing an annual adaptation finance gap of anywhere around 284 to 339 billion US dollars per year. To put it into perspective, let's say I want to buy this delicious plate of dajinho, and it's going to cost around 310 to 365 billion US dollars. And that's the cost for adaptation per year for developing countries until 2035. But I only have 26 billion US dollars in my wallet, and that's the total amount of adaptation finance from developed countries to developing countries in 2023. And that means less resources for developing countries to protect people, livelihood, and biodiversity. COP30 needs to deliver on the promise of mobilizing at least 1.3 trillion US dollars per year for developing countries on climate action by 2035. And it's not just about the amount, the quality of finance also matters. Developing countries need sufficient, predictable, and accessible resources for adaptation from a variety of sources that do not deepen their debt burden. High-quality climate finance should facilitate gender-responsive, locally led adaptation actions that delivers measurable and sustained results. The second thing we're looking out for is the final stretch of a negotiation on a set of global indicators to track adaptation progress. Tracking adaptation helps us understand whether the world is becoming more resilient, who benefits from adaptation investments, and how effective adaptation actions really are. Since last year, a group of experts have been working on narrowing down a list of over 9,000 indicators to just over 100 that are feasible for countries to track and are fit for purpose to track countries' progress in reaching the global goal on adaptation. At the end of COP30, we want to see a balanced set of indicators that integrate gender considerations to ensure gender-responsive adaptation is being assessed. We also want to see indicators that track adaptation finance, technology transfer, and capacity building to strengthen accountability and transparency. And finally, the NAP assessment. Last year in Baku, I explained what a NAP assessment is and why it is important for developing countries' NAP processes. Hopefully this year, countries will conclude the mandate on the NAP assessment and adopt a set of balanced decisions. What we want to see in the final decision is a recognition of the tremendous progress made by developing countries on their NAP process. It should also identify remaining challenges and barriers and offer a set of forward-looking guidance to help developing countries transition from planning to implementation. It's worth pointing out that all these discussions on finance, on indicators, or the NAP assessment, they only matter if the decisions are actually being implemented at the national and subnational levels. It's up to governments to turn global adaptation commitments and support into national actions to protect people, livelihoods, and ecosystems. And we hope COP30 will be the catalyst for countries to turn commitments into actions, data into decisions, and ambition into results.